Men are the so-called stronger sex. As per traditional gender roles, in most cultures, men are the hunters, workers, protectors, and the breadwinners of the family. These roles are changing nowadays, and the traditional male and female roles are not set in stone anymore. They are becoming mixed and changed up. Yet there are some gender differences that are the same regardless of the change in gender roles. Habits from the past are still present in some phrases and stereotypes, like when people say, "A real man doesn't cry." What do gender roles and their change have to do with men not speaking about certain things? Well, more than you might believe. These habits have been built into our culture through many decades, whereby mentioning certain topics can be considered inappropriate, unpleasant, or even indecent. Of course, it's not true for all of the points on our list, but many of them are rooted in the idea of the real man. If something is not manly to talk about, then men won't talk about it. If they have a trait or quality that is not masculine enough, they will have a hard time talking about it as well. Let's take a look at our list. Number 1. Emotions. Men rarely talk about their feelings. They rarely bring it up, rarely ask others about it, and are rarely asked about it by others. This is partly because men don't feel so comfortable in the world of feelings as women do. So when someone is talking with this emotionally immature man about this sensitive topic, it can be like a fish trying to climb a tree. It's almost impossible, and the attempt can be kind of a sad view when watching from the outside. It all intensifies when they are asked about their own feelings. That's the end of the world. It's not enough that they have to talk about their emotions. They even have to make themselves vulnerable by talking about their own feelings. It's dangerous on so many levels for the so-called stronger sex. Number 2. Height and other sizes. Some women think that a man under 180 centimeters or 6 feet is not really a man. It can be funny at first, but it can cause a lot of stress for a man, as this is a trait that he cannot do anything about. He can't change that. And it becomes even worse when there is a couple where the man is shorter than the woman. So finding a partner can be harder for shorter men. Men's height is similar to women's weight, and their height is not the only thing that can be measured in centimeters, and that can be a hard topic for men, the size of their genitals. It's often funny mocking material within a male group of friends, but it can be an extremely sensitive topic too between close friends of the opposite sex. This is another trait that they can't do anything about and can't change it. Yet it can have severe consequences if it isn't big enough. Exclusion, hardship in finding a partner, low self-esteem, and so on. Number 3. Money. The matter of money is important for most men, yet it isn't a casual topic of talking. This topic's importance comes from the previously mentioned fact about the traditional gender roles that say a man has to be the one who supports the family financially. This means that they have to have a stable financial state from which they can support not only themselves, but their partners and children as well. Today, men and women build careers. So this view is not so practical anymore, but in some ways it is still present. Men can still benefit from their good financial situation, as it can improve their chances of finding a partner. They can even compensate their problems in size if they have any. However, if this is what a relationship needs, then it might not be worth being in or staying in one like this. That's why wealthy men often keep their financial situation a secret, so they don't become used because of it. Number 4. Sex and sexual problems. Sex is the essence of evolution. It's the meaning of life. It's not the act itself, obviously, rather the reproduction, but it would take a lot of equipment to maintain the human race without sex. Sex, sexual performance, satisfying a partner, these things all have values for men that can be measured. It's often seen as lame if he doesn't do it well. It's lame if he doesn't last long enough. It's lame if there isn't enough foreplay. So it can go wrong on so many levels. Furthermore, nowadays, pornography can paint an unrealistic picture of sex, so it's no wonder that people feel anxiety if they can't do what they saw in the movie. And this anxiety leads us to every man's nightmare: sexual problems. It can appear in many ways. Obviously, everybody knows what we are thinking about here. If someone is suffering from something like this, the last thing they want is their secret to get out and it being a topic of conversation. Number 5. Embarrassing, shameful events. Because of the traditional gender roles, men usually like to be seen as strong, stable, and protective. If a story of failure, mistake, or clumsiness comes out, then this socially expected image can be ruined, as it is a fault in their good reputation. This shame can come from any topic, but the most sensitive events are the ones related to something that is known to be masculine. As already mentioned, sex, money, or physical strength, for example if he couldn't carry a cupboard on his own, can be such things. But also DIY, for example he couldn't put together the IKEA furniture, or even cars, if a car is broken and a man took it to a mechanic instead of fixing it himself. According to these outdated views, these are the things that make men, men. Shameful events or failures in these areas can have a negative effect on their mood and self-esteem. Number 6. Expressions of tenderness. I told you that I loved you when we got together. I'll tell you if it changes. Does this sound familiar? Because of the difficulty that men experience when it comes to emotions, this might not be that surprising that expressing tender feelings can be hard for many men. Saying, "I love you," "You are important to me," or "I'd do anything for you" to their family members or partner are not just simple words. If they really want to mean it, they become emotionally vulnerable in front of the other. And that's why it's so hard to speak to the girl they like. That's why they don't say every day that they love you or miss you. Besides the fact that it's not seen as manly, it also expresses that they are vulnerable. And emotional vulnerability can be the hardest kind of vulnerability for everyone. Number 7. The importance of their partner. If you were a man, it must have happened to you that your partner came home and asked, "So, what do you think?" And you just stood there and watched. You were looking for something that is different, that you should have an opinion on. Was she at the hairdresser's? New clothes, new jewelry, new nails? Men don't notice these changes, but not because they don't care about their partner. It's because these are things that men themselves don't really care about. They don't look at a woman focusing on their shoes, hair, nails, or clothes, etc. They work in a much simpler way. They like her, or they don't like her. Speaking of appearance, there are other questions that men have to deal with. Do you think I'm fat? Does this dress look good on me? Am I prettier than your ex? For men, it's difficult to answer honestly for all of these questions. Firstly, because they haven't even thought about them. Secondly, because what can they do if the truth would hurt? Should they be honest? Which is better? To tell a small lie to save hurting someone's feelings, or to be honest and tell the truth? These dilemmas can be too problematic for an average man. Number 8. The exes of their partner. Men don't like to talk about their partner's exes, partially because of jealousy, as men tend to be more jealous. It is because people think it is easier for a woman to get a man than it is for a man to get a woman. So men think about themselves as more replaceable. The other reason that men don't like to talk about the exes is because they wouldn't like to think about what their partner might have done with her ex. That's why for some men it's important to know how many exes their partner had. From a man's perspective, the less partners she's had, the better. Number 9. Their partner's male friends. A man knows what another man is thinking about. A man knows what might be the intentions of the other man, even when women don't. That's why when a woman says, "We are just friends," it can be hard to believe for a man. Maybe in the past he used the same approach to get closer to a woman. Thus he recognized this friend behavior. Because of these reasons, men often prefer if their partner only has female friends who they don't need to compete with. Number 10. What's up? How are you? How was your day? Men are simple. If they are curious of something, they ask. If they get a question, they answer. Just what's been asked and just what's enough. That's why when they are asked open questions like, "How are you?" they just answer with, "I'm okay." They don't start telling everything that the other person would like to know. There are too many variables, too many circumstances, too many questions. Does it refer to now? How is he right now or recently? How is he emotionally, health-wise? What happened to him? It seems like just one question, but in a man's mind, it raises several more questions, so they tend to keep it short or just don't say anything. If you would like to make things easier for a man, be concrete and ask yes-no questions. Many of the points on this list are very old, outdated traditional views. Stability, strength, reproduction, safety. If for some reason a man shows his vulnerable side, some parts of society can punish him for it these days, thus keeping alive these outdated gender traditions. However, this leads to men having mental health problems that remain unnoticed and untreated, causing many difficulties for them. What experiences do you have with talking to men? What topics do you avoid talking about? Are you perhaps an exception? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.